Good morning, Pirates. My name is Dean Strawser. I'm Dean of the Stillman School of Business, and we are thrilled to have you here with us for our virtual orientation. So before we start talking more about the Stillman School and all these opportunities, just want to do a few housekeeping items. To start off with, I hope that you've received my email, which I sent a couple days ago, but I did send it to your Seton Hall accounts. I see that some of you have responded to the survey that I asked you to respond to, so that's great, but it's still a small number. So if you haven't done that yet, access your Seton Hall email, read the information. We've got a book, though, that I've sent you that we're going to talk through a little today. You don't need to have it with you now, but it will be helpful for you to get access to that. So that's one priority for you, is making sure you can access Seton Hall email and to open the email from me. But today we're going to spend just a little time orienting you to everything that is Stillman. So you'll learn today about opportunities, about our expectations, and more importantly, you'll have the opportunity to ask us some questions. So the Q&A, the chat is actually open now. If you want to go ahead as we're going along and discussing various items, if you want to pose questions, we perhaps will get to those as we're going through the material. Otherwise, when we're done with our presentation, we will come back and address those questions as our time allows. If we don't get to your questions, we'll get to them afterwards, because we are able to see who posted a question and we do have information for you. And here's the final thing I'll say before I kick off. That is, we have embedded in our presentation today a couple of quiz questions, and we're going to ask you to respond to those in the chat. So if you know the answer to those quiz questions and you're fast on your feet, you could win a lovely Stillman Padfolio, which Mark Schild is going to show you the first time we show him on screen. But so be on your toes, listen, think about Stillman, and I'm going to kick it off right now by introducing my colleagues, my esteemed colleagues. Before I do that, though, I probably should give you a little more information about me. I've been here now, this will be the start of my 11th year as Dean of the Stillman School and my 26th year as Seton Hall University. So really enjoy being at Seton Hall, live here in South Orange, and in addition to being Dean, I am a member of the Department of Accounting and Taxation. Yay, accountants! All right, with me today, my colleague, Lee Onimus. Lee is Associate Dean of the school. She deals largely with assessment, with external relations with our alumni, and connections in terms of recruiting of students. So I'm sure a number of you met Lee or corresponded with her during the recruiting process. So thanks, Lee, for doing a great job of bringing these wonderful students to us. Then we have Steve Lorenzetti. Steve is also a member of the faculty of the Department of Management. He's Associate Dean and deals largely with academic services, or academics in total, Director of our MBA program. You might have the pleasure of having Steve in either Principles of Management or Organizational Behavior. Then the final colleague here today, Mark Schild. He is Assistant Dean and a member of the Department of Finance. Mark teaches our business finance course and some specialized courses in finance as well. And he advises a number of our finance students. So probably my guess is you've met some of us virtually throughout this process, and we do look forward to seeing you when we kick off again in August. But very special guest is one of our top students, Anna Plank. Anna's a rising junior. She's concentrating in both accounting and IT management. So she's doing one of those things we recommend, which is a double concentration. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. And Anna is also a member of our Leadership Development Honors Program, which, by the way, ranked #1 in the world 5 years in a row. So we're proud to have Anna, who is going to later speak to you about an exciting new initiative. So that's our cast of characters for today's presentation. I want to start off by talking about the electronic book that I sent you in my email called Stillman 101 Resource Manual. Now, it's great that you have this electronically this year. Typically, we would have given out a physical copy, but I think this is going to be better for you because this is a reference that you'll use as you begin, but also as you move through your academic career at the Stillman School. So you'll see that the book has several sections. We're going to talk about some of the content today, but it focuses not only on the academic requirements and advice that we're going to be giving you today, but also on how you can get involved at Stillman and how important that is, but the many things that you can do to be more engaged, and also important to you as well as your families, the scholarships that we have available. So one of the things that you would have seen if you'd opened my email is the fact that we already are offering you 3 scholarship opportunities, and Lee will talk more about those in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pass this on now to my colleague, Steve Lorenzetti.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and good morning and welcome, everyone. I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about some aspects of academics, and you see the 3 things on this slide for us to discuss: advising, model course sheet, and some important classes. And so I'm actually going to save the second bullet there, a model course sheet, for a follow-up slide in a moment or two. And here I'm just going to emphasize advising and then briefly some important classes that you're going to take in your first year. So on the advising side, obviously you're having schedules created for you coming into your first semester. And then for this first year, for your first year of study at Seton Hall, you'll have a freshman advisor. And so all freshmen at Seton Hall, not just business school freshmen, but all freshmen have a freshman advisor from the freshman studies office. As you transition beyond your freshman year into your sophomore and beyond, you will transition over to an advisor in the Stillman School of Business. And that advisor will be somebody who is an expert and specialist in your area of study. So for example, if you're an economics major, you're going to have a professor from the economics department as your advisor. If you're an accounting major, you'll have a professor from the accounting department. And if you're a double major, then you'll have 2 advisors, one from each of those respective departments that you chose to put your concentration in. And I will say that I tend to use major and concentration interchangeably, but at the Stillman School, I should point out to you that when you choose an area of focus, what you often think of as choosing a major, for us, we refer to that as choosing a concentration. So what I really should say to you is, if you are an econ concentration or if you're an accounting concentration, that's where your advisor will come from. Model course sheet we'll cover in a moment, and then briefly important classes. These are classes that you see there that just about every incoming new student takes. And so the ones you see listed first, like ULife and Journey of Transformation, these are university-wide courses, again, regardless of whether you were a Stillman student or a student in another part of the university, everybody takes these. And then there are English and mathematics requirements that all students are expected to take for the Stillman School. The math requirement is a finite math and calculus for business course that you'll take. And then you can see 3 other courses that are common to your freshman year in information systems and legal aspects of business and microeconomics. But as we transition to the next slide, you'll get an even better sense of this is a snapshot really for you of what you're going to take each year. And the first thing I'll say to you is, don't worry so much if, oh, I didn't get one of these classes my first year. Nobody follows this path exactly. All right, so there's a little room to sort of flip-flop, you know, a course from year 1 to year 2, but generally speaking, you can see in year 1, you're getting things like economics, you're getting English, you're getting mathematics, you're probably going to get your religious studies or world culture electives and things like that in your first year. And then as you transition into your second year a bit, you see that you're getting more exposure to, and if you don't mind, Chris, just if you could just sort of zero in a little on year 2 by just pinching up maybe a little bit there, thank you. That you get a sense for, all right, now you're getting your first exposure to accounting, for example, and you see 2 accounting courses, and finance is likely to be in there, as well as some statistics and money and banking types of courses and so on, and business writing. And then as you make your way to year 3, you see that you're starting to get even more of your coursework in business. You can see things like global and management and organizational behavior and marketing and a range of things. And then year 4, your what we call your capstone course that sort of combines a lot of what you learned across the core into one sort of big business simulation course. And then also you'll be taking courses in your major. So the main thing I want to impress upon you, and one thing I should say to you is Dean Strawser made mention of the Stillman 101 book that she distributed. This document is on page 9 in that book. So if you want to just make a little note that this is on page 9, you could also, if you had it handy now, you could obviously take a quick look at it. But the main thing I want to impress upon you is that what happens across your study with us, regardless of whatever your major is you're going to get this core of knowledge in accounting and finance and economics and management and marketing, IT, quant, a whole range of disciplines that we think are important for all business students. And that's going to happen right from the time you arrive, really all the way up through your senior year. And along the way, though, as you make it into your junior and senior year, that's when you're going to start to differentiate yourself into your specific concentration courses. So all of you, irrespective of major, will have a common core experience that will unfold from freshman through senior year. However, in your junior and senior year, you'll differentiate yourselves from each other based on the concentrations you choose and the unique courses you take in those areas. And then if we could just move to the next slide. This is a notification for, we have 2 types of students in the audience today. We have students who were fully admitted to Stillman, and we have students who were fully admitted to Seton Hall and who may have just been a touch below the requirements for full admission to Stillman, who would have been placed in a category called tracking business, for example. So if you're a student in this category, you may have seen something that said pre-business or tracking business, for example, as part of your acceptance. And for students in this category, what I want to impress upon you is these are the requirements for you to gain full admission to the Stillman School. And so what will happen is you can see the classes listed here, the top 3. The finite math and for business class, the principles of economics, which is a microeconomics class, and the information systems class. All 3 of these classes are required classes that you will take across your first year with us. And then you can see below what is expected of you, a C+ or higher in all 3 classes. You can only take each class a total of 2 times. So if you didn't get a C+ the first time, you could take it 1 more time. And a cumulative GPA of 2.67. If you accomplish the things listed on this slide, right, so if after your first year of study, and usually we expect you to complete 30 credits in that first year of study. So if after that first year of study, you've completed 30 credits, you've taken those first 3 courses, achieved a C+ or higher in those courses, and have an overall GPA of 2.67, this will gain you full admission to Stillman at the end of your freshman year. Now, what I want to emphasize is this slide is not for everyone. So if you were fully admitted to Stillman as a accounting concentration, a management concentration, whatever concentration you chose, if you gained full admission to Stillman, this slide does not apply to you. However, if you gained full admission to Seton Hall and were just below the Stillman requirements for admission to the business school, this slide does apply to you. And so then you would need to complete the things you see listed on this slide. Now, the final thing I want to make mention here is for the students who are in tracking business, if you're thinking, oh, do I have to take these courses, Math 1205, Econ 1402, BITM 2701, and like nobody else has to take those, just me, that would be wrong. These are required courses of all business majors. The nice thing about the tracking business program is that it tracks exactly to the business curriculum. So you don't take any extra classes you don't need. And by the way, if you're wondering, oh, are these special sections where it's only me and other students who are tracking business? That isn't the case either. These are just regular sections. You sign up for any one that you want to, just like everybody else does. And so you're literally just tracking along the way, no different than anybody else. In fact, I will let you know that I'm the person who signs off when you finish your freshman year. And if you've met these requirements, I sign off on your admission. And you won't feel any different, other than maybe you'll be happy, and we'll be happy for you that you're fully admitted to Stillman. You won't feel any different. Your future classes won't be any different. Nothing will have been different. You're tracking the exact same path as everyone else. Okay, and so in terms of giving you a little introductory information, I think that concludes some of the academic pieces on advising and on some of the curriculum I wanted to discuss with you. And I'll turn this back over. Joyce, I think I turn this back over to you now.
That's correct, Steve. So get ready, students. We have our first quiz question. We'll put up a picture in just a second, and I want to know, who is this Stillman faculty member? So if you know, please enter it into the chat. So who is the Stillman faculty member pictured in this little photo clip? I'll give you a hint. Michael Jordan's not on our faculty. We're competing for a padfolio. Oh boy. Oh, wait, here we go. Okay, well, David Stern is in the picture, but he is not a Stillman faculty member. Nope. So we're looking for the third person. Who's the third person? He's the leader of a very big major or concentration at the Stillman School. Okay, I'm scrolling down. Have we seen it yet? Ah, here we go. So Christian, yes, Charles Grantham. So Charles Grantham is the person to the rightmost in that picture. This was a picture, actually, a little clip from the TV screen of, I don't know how many of you watched it, but The Last Dance. I am the only woman in my family. I've got 3 avid sports fans, so we watched this series. It was very interesting. But Charlie came up on the screen here with his good friends, Michael Jordan and David Stern. He is the director of our Center for Sport Management. And you will, if you are in sport management, you'd be advised by him, and you will take classes with him. So congratulations, Kristen. You're the first winner of one of our padfolios. And now I believe we are going to go to Lee Onimus.
Thank you, Joyce, and welcome everyone. I'm so excited to spend some time with you this morning. I'm going to take just a couple of minutes and talk a little bit more about the curriculum. So Steve mentioned earlier our model core and talked a bit about the combination of liberal arts and business core classes that you'll all take, and referenced your major or concentration. So you'll see here that the Stillman School has a wide array of majors, some of them more traditional like accounting and finance and management, and then a few a bit more unique, sport management, and our newest concentration, finance and technology, or fintech. In addition to the core classes that you take, you'll each spend some time your junior and senior year taking your concentration courses. And those requirements are also included on your model core on the back side of your, in your Stillman 101 book. One of the things you'll also do and have an opportunity to explore is the possibility of doing a double concentration. So as part of the curriculum, you are given a number of general elective credits. So credits that you can really do anything with. So one of the things that a number of our students do is to do a double concentration. That is very easy to do within your 4 years. In fact, most of our students do a double concentration, or many of our students do a double concentration. And that's a great way, again, to really distinguish yourself, give yourself a number of skill sets and competency areas that prepare you for industry. Beyond doing a double concentration, and real quick, I just want to reference here, many of you are coming in as business undecided, and so that is fine. As you saw, as we talked about the curriculum, you have a number of required classes, and so to be undecided at this point in the business school is completely fine. Don't feel anxious about that at all. You'll have a number of opportunities to really explore the different discipline areas, both through the core classes, through our clubs and organizations, and actually through a one credit class called our Freshman Business Seminar that some of you may choose to take. That particular class allows us to take a look at the different discipline areas in the business school through the lens of one particular company. And so if you're undecided, that might be a great class to take. So beyond the double concentrations, a number of our students will also do minors and certificates. So you can see here a wide range of minors and certificates. A great combination for a number of students is IT or analytics, and to really distinguish yourself and give yourself an opportunity to explore different areas of interest. So you can use your general electives and really take advantage of the flexible nature of our curriculum and leave the school with a number of different credentials. You'll work, as Steve mentioned earlier, with your advisor on thinking about what might be a good match for you. So what's a great combination with accounting? A number of our students will do an IT certificate or an analytics certificate, and it's just a few incremental credits. So you'll talk to your advisor, you'll work through a number of these different options, and it really can allow you to leave with multiple credentials. So I'm actually going to pass it along to my colleague now at this point, and I'll talk to you in a few minutes again. So Mark?
Yes, here I am. I also want to welcome everybody, but first let me show you the beautiful Padfolio, or one, I don't know if you can, do you see this? Because in my, can you see this in here? I don't know if it's working, but trust me, it's a beautiful Padfolio if you can't see it. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the clubs. And as you see from this slide, there are a lot of clubs. And even over and above the clubs that exist, every year it feels like we have new clubs being created. Just in the last 3 years, Financial Planning Association, Real Estate Club, and Consulting Clubs have all been created. So if you have some ideas for clubs, please feel free to let us know if you don't see something there, but most likely there's something there that will interest you. The goal of the clubs is to provide access to like-minded students, to faculty, to alums, to learn from each other, to provide mentoring, guidance, internships, and career advice opportunities. So one thing that I want to mention to you all is really try to get out of your comfort zone, go with your roommate, go with your classmate, just go to something just in case. You never know. One of the interesting effects of our new normal that we're all experiencing is you're going to have, there's an easier, we're all more comfortable in a virtual format. And as a result, we're going to, and we're working hard to find more speakers. We have access to different kinds of speakers where maybe their schedule wouldn't have permitted them to come live on campus, but you're going to see more and more of the virtual opportunities. So please pay attention to those opportunities. But as you can see, there are accounting clubs, there's multiple finance, marketing, clubs from every different concentration, as well as some community clubs. Just thinking about, there are 4 clubs that I'm an advisor of. One of them is the Hall Street Fund, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that one. That's our investment club, and that teaches students in a simulated environment to pick stocks, to analyze stocks, to look at the markets, to talk with your fellow students on the stock market, and then pitch whether you want to buy, sell, or hold. It is also a prerequisite to be allowed to be in the 1 credit student managed investment fund that I teach. And that's real money. We're up to $250,000 managed, given to us by the endowment for the students to actually be the managers. It is a great learning experience. It looks great on your resume. And I can tell you from previous students, it is a wonderful talking point during interviews as something that you have actually done that's real, that's experiential, more so than just conceptual. And actually, so before I go to the next slide, I just pay attention over the next couple months and be on the lookout for club announcements, involvement fairs, and various other things where you can find out about all of these things. And as I said before, take a chance. It's not a terribly high risk ask to go to something and hear someone speak for a little bit. So now if we go to the next slide, we'll move on to quiz question number 2 for that beautiful Padfolio. And one of the stocks in our student managed investment fund, otherwise known as SMIF, If any of you can guess what one of the top 5 performers during the period from May 21st through June 10th was, and one hint is it's fashion. Now maybe we'll give the second hint, the symbol. And you can place your answers in the live Q&A section. If you know what stock that is, what company that is, it is, I'll give another hint, athletic wear. That's sort of giving it away, but not sure if anybody is, you're just like my students. You don't pay attention to me when I'm talking. There we go. We got some lucky people there. Here we go. We got a lot of people.
Yeah, Jason put the, he relisted the ticker symbol. So Jason, if you happen to know, just type out the name of that company if you happen to know it. And then you'll have
then
it.
He did. He did,
okay,
and Aaron Murphy did. Looks like might be tied for first. And with that, I'm gonna pass this along to our special guest, Anna Plank.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Plank. As it was said before, I'm a rising junior here in Stillman. And so a big thing for me is throughout my time at Stillman, I have gotten to meet so many upperclassmen, whether it's just on campus, through clubs, even classes. And that's been a huge aspect of my college experience so far. So given the uncertain return in the fall and how that's going to take place with social distancing measures, I wanted to make sure that each and every one of you had the opportunity to receive a mentor who is an upperclassman in the Stillman School. So in order to achieve this goal, I'm helping to launch a Stillman mentorship program for the upcoming year, where upperclassmen will act as the mentors and you, the underclassmen incoming class, will be the mentees. So as you can see on the slide here, the mentoring program will include one-on-one peer mentoring with an upperclassman in Stillman, personal advice for lots and lots of topics, literally any questions you could have, whether it pertains to Stillman or Seton Hall in general. And then we'll have a few virtual events and workshops throughout the year. Expectation-wise, you and your mentor will kind of develop what relationship format would work for the best of you, or would work for the both of you to the best of your needs. And the main goal of this is really just to help you adjust to Stillman and Seton Hall, given Corona and how that's going to be affecting our return in the fall. So on the next slide, you'll see there's a QR code that you can scan, through your phone or a third-party app. Additionally, I did send out an email that had the mentee interest form linked in there. That was sent out on Tuesday night, and there'll also be a follow-up email sometime next week. And so if you scan this QR code or go to the link in the email, it will take you to a mentee interest form, which is super easy, just name, phone number, emails, major, and then you can be signed up to participate in the program, and more details will be following on that towards July 15th when the form closes. So that's all I got. I hope I get to see you guys around on campus in the fall, and I'm going to be handing it over to Dean Strawser to talk more about scholarship opportunities.
Thank you so much, Anna. I'm really looking forward to the launch of that program. Thank you for your work on that. So we're changing gears just a little bit. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about scholarships at the Stillman School. So many of you coming in received academic awards from the university based on your performance in high school, your GPA, your standardized test scores. And first of all, congratulations on that. We are so proud of you. In addition, the university, and Stillman specifically, is so fortunate to have a tremendous alumni base and corporate partnerships that allow us to give additional scholarships to current students, so students who are continuing. Last year, we gave out over $700,000 to our current continuing students. And so those awards range anywhere from $500 all the way up to $10,000. Some of them are given out by our financial aid office, but some of them are awarded, and you will have an opportunity to apply for those. And we're looking, of course, at your academics. So how well are you doing at Seton Hall, and your involvement in a number of situations? So what clubs and organizations, what type of community service events are you participating in? The awards are announced twice, not the awards, the opportunities are announced twice during the year. So you kind of know when those opportunities will come up. And the first is during the summer, and I'll talk about some of our summer opportunities in a second. And again in December, so over the holiday break when you have some extra time on your hands. And the applications are pretty basic. In many instances, we'll ask for your resume, we'll ask for you to talk about your involvement and your contribution to the financials in terms of what you're doing and working and internships. And so those opportunities are announced through email. You'll get announcements from the dean, and we will remind you of those, but they are really basic, and we encourage you to take advantage of the opportunities that are offered. So if we can just go ahead to the next slide. As incoming freshmen, so for this summer, you have 3 opportunities. So these are awards in the amount of $1,000 each. You will see in your Stillman 101 book that there's a basic outline of what the requirements are for you to apply. So we have a Beta Gamma Sigma scholarship, a poster competition, and a legacy competition. Each give the opportunity for students to win an award of up to $1,000. And in some cases, we offer honorable mentions. And you have plenty of time to work on these now. So the deadline is September 14th, and you'll see they're relatively straightforward and don't require too much work on your part, but we'd love to see a number of applications. You'd be surprised. In many instances, we'll send out a couple of announcements about opportunities, and there are times when we actually just get a handful or 10 or 15 applications for some of these opportunities. And it's like, it's free money. So we really encourage you. The scholarships add up over time, and you'll have a number of opportunities for those. So I look forward to receiving your applications. If we could just go ahead to the next slide. So we talked a bit about clubs and organizations, some of the great mentorship programs that we have, and some of the great initiatives in the business school. And so how do you hear about these things? So obviously you're getting some information about these now, but we try to make sure that we are informing students in a number of different ways. And so obviously social media is a great area to hear about some of the opportunities, some of the great guest speakers that we'll have on campus, some of the mentorship programs. So I'm going to encourage you to do a couple of things. First, the Stillman School has a Twitter account, so I'd like you to follow Hall Business. We send reminders and announcements here. Second, we have a Facebook page, and then finally there's a Stillman LinkedIn business group, and you'll learn more about setting up a LinkedIn profile if you don't have one already. In addition, one of the best tips that I can give you as an incoming freshman is to watch for Dean Strawser's weekly email. So Sunday evening, without fail, now there's a range of time. We could get Dean Strawser's email at 7 p.m. We may get Dean Strawser's email at 2 a.m. It really depends on what's going on. But that is a consistent communication that goes out every week, and it informs our students about the upcoming events on campus, the Career Center events that we're having, the guest speakers that are coming to campus, and also really highlight some of the great accolades of our students and faculty. So if I can tell you anything, my biggest tip is to look at that email every Sunday night, plan out what your calendar is for the upcoming week or 2 weeks. And it's really just a great summary of all of the opportunities that you'll have to get involved in the community at the Stillman School and to round out your portfolio and take advantage of the opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton now back to Steve, who's going to talk a little bit about our Hallmark values.
Thank you, Lee. So the two what we consider pillars of Stillman are these 2 core values of integrity and professionalism. And what I want to impress upon you is that, and you'll feel this pretty quickly, and my guess is you could already see it a little bit when it comes to when you had a chance to hear from Anna Plank, who is about to head into her junior year. You can see that, okay, this is no longer a high school student. This is a student who is clearly a college student who is a pre-professional now and on her way to getting prepared and nearing time to enter her career. And so we very much focus on trying to build your professionalism to make you ready to enter your career when you graduate from Stillman. And we also spend a great deal of time focusing on integrity. And this is for a range of reasons, including our Catholic values as a Catholic institution, but it's also because these are things we want to see you take out into the business world with you and represent Stillman and Seton Hall as students and then ultimately graduates and professionals who have integrity and possess integrity. So we're going to talk in a little more specificity on each of these in the upcoming slides. So if we could just move forward, please, in terms of what we mean by these in practice, and we could just go ahead again. Thank you. So on one side, the honor code. So in terms of your integrity, we expect and ask this of you. And by the way, we expect this of ourselves as faculty and administrators and staff in the Stillman School as well, that we all conduct ourselves with integrity and that we behave in honorable ways. So that means in your coursework, in your advising, in your career preparation, teamwork that you have in your classes, your use of technology, and we'll talk more about your use of technology in a moment. But in all of these areas that you uphold integrity. And some of that, to sort of emphasize for you, means that your work is your own. That when you are engaged, when you're taking an exam, that your work is your own. When you are turning in a paper, whatever it might be, the paper you do, the project you work on, etc., that your work is always your own, and that you do not do things that would suggest that you were turning in work or trying to gain advantage by cheating in any way, but that instead you're honorable in all ways. In terms of professional standards, that includes the way you dress for things like interviews, for example, presentations you're making in class, when you go to the career fair, that all of your deliverables are of high quality and that you have always put the time in to make sure that you delivered a high quality presentation or product, or that you put the time in to prepare for an exam. And then also in the area of technology, and in particular as it pertains to social media, the thing that we want to emphasize for you here is think carefully about what you post and what you do. And the reason that we say this is as follows, and you have done a great job to get this far, to gain admission into Seton Hall, a very selective institution, to gain admission, or in some cases for the tracking business students, to be on the path to admission to one of the top business schools in the country in Stillman. And so it's wonderful that you've accomplished all of this. So now and we're expecting of you that you are going to make your way through our curriculum, continue that outstanding performance, and get ready to then enter into your career, to obtain high quality internships while you're here, and then to make your way into your career. What we want to see you avoid is having done all of this good work and then have it wiped out by something that was easily avoidable on your part. We know for a fact, because recruiters have told us, that they have chosen to not offer internships to well-qualified students, or in some cases offered internships to well-qualified students and then pulled those internships back because of content that they found on social media that students had posted. And I'll sort of take it one step further for you. Some employers now are even saying, not only do I want to see your public pages, I want your login and contact, I want your sign-in information, and I want to see your private pages. And you might think that's wildly unfair. And I will tell you that I usually try to keep my opinion out of things, but I will at least share it with you here. I think that's wildly unfair too. But it really doesn't matter what I think. About half the states in the US right now don't have laws that protect that. And so employers in about half of the country, states in half of the country right now, could say, I want to see your private social media pages. And so you have to understand how important that is. Okay, and so considering that our students come from all over the country, that means a lot of you may graduate and go home to a state that doesn't have a protection or a law against this. So please don't let all of your really good work and all of the great things you've done and all the great things you will do with us that are going to prepare you for your first and second internship and prepare you for your career, please don't let any of that be wiped away by something you did on social media. If you're trying to decide, well, what counts, what doesn't count, what do I worry about, what do I not? If you have any doubt about it, then don't post it. If you think it's the kind of thing that might rub an employer the wrong way or might cost you an internship, our advice is don't post. And then to give you an example, if we could just go forward one more. You do not want to be this. A picture can, in fact, be worth 1,000 words, or maybe just 2. You're fired. So here is a high school teacher, and she is posting a photo on her personal time, by the way, which many of you might say, hey, that's her personal time, it shouldn't matter. And she's got this picture of herself with 2 drinks, right? And so she posts it. Seems like to many, maybe it's no big deal, she's just having fun on her private time. But what happens to this teacher when this is seen by her employer and school district? She's fired. So again, we're not trying to tell you don't live your lives or don't have fun. We are just trying to simply say to you, please be cautious, because we know you're strong students. We know you have bright futures and bright careers ahead of you, and we don't want any of that limited by things that you might post that you think might be innocuous that turn out to be something that could cost you a future opportunity, right? And with that, hopefully that makes the point enough for you. I'm going to turn it back to Dean Strawser for the conclusion of the presentation.
Actually, we had one question that I think I'll address right now, and that is, what do you mean by private social media? And what we're talking about is things that you post on your own LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, any kinds of accounts out there where people can view that. So we're talking about any of those postings, and that's what we're urging you to be careful about. So thank you for that question. And now, here's our final quiz question to wrap things up before we go into overall Q&A. This is a picture of the namesake of the Stillman School of Business, W. Paul Stillman. If we could advance, Chris. He was an industry leader in 2 distinct business fields. So if you can be the first to come up with one of the 2 business fields, you will win a Padfolio. So let's see how much people know. All right, W. Paul Stillman. By the way, a man, I'll chat a little bit about him while we're waiting for a response. A man who was born of very humble beginnings. So born in Newark, New Jersey to a family of modest means, actually was a high school dropout, but became, we hear accounting. Nope, not accounting, not economics. Beautiful. So David gets banking and insurance, both of them. David, you must have seen my intro video to the business school. So congratulations, David, the first to reply, but I'm going to go and see if we've got another, just because we have 2. So Karina also said banking. Wonderful. So David and Karina, congratulations. You are now the proud possessors of Stillman Padfolios, and I will send these out to you. Okay, so at this point, and our final slide just is really a little graphic that shows where Stillman students go after they leave us. So here's some of the job opportunities that our Stillman students have had. And we'll just use this for the framework, the background, to ask you now if you have any other questions that you would like to have us address. So if you do, type them right into the chat, the Q&A section. I will answer one that came in while the presentation was going on, and that is about the hybrid or high flex method that we're going to be using when classes resume in the fall. So first I'm going to tell you that we don't know exactly what numbers we're talking about because we're waiting to hear, of course, what the state says about room occupancy. But let me explain in general terms the high flex model, and you may hear more about it today as you proceed through orientation. But our plan is that any class that was scheduled to be delivered on ground is now going to be delivered in this high flex model. And what that means is that at any point in time on any particular day, a portion of the students will be in the classroom, physically present. The other portion of the students will be watching simultaneously live stream class presentation. Just very similar to what we're doing now. It'll be over Teams. So if, for example, you're a person, you have a Monday, Wednesday class that meets from, let's say, 11 to 12:15, you might be in the classroom every Monday. And then on Wednesday, you might be watching from your dorm room or from your home live by way of teams. So that's the way we're looking at it now. We're going to be practicing social distancing. We're going to be asking everybody to wear a mask. We're going to be making sure that we establish enough space for everyone. The thing that might be a changing variable is how many people can be in that room. So right now we're assuming it would be 50-50. And so the rotation would occur every other class meeting, but it could be that it's a 30% occupancy. So we'll adjust in that way. But regardless, I want to emphasize two things. The first is, if you are uncomfortable attending class in person, you will always have the option to participate virtually, but synchronously. So to be there virtually as the class is going on. Second thing is, we're going to keep you informed, but you'll have to be a little flexible in terms of the exact details until we get closer to the time that school will start. But you can always, at any point, I'll put my email, well, actually, you have my email. You will know my email. I've written you already. You can, at any time, ask me any questions or share with me any issues that you're experiencing that you'd like to know more about the model and more about expectations. So I hope that helps to frame it a little bit. And I'm just looking now to see, colleagues, if there are any questions that you see that you'd like to chime in on, please go right ahead, and I'll continue to look and see what else we see come up.
I didn't see another question yet, although if someone else did, please let me know. I just did want to make one comment that I forgot to mention, which is for the students who are tracking business. So again, if you were in the category you're admitted to Seton Hall and on your path to admission to the Stillman School. If you don't recall everything in the presentation that we shared with you, don't worry so much about that. In the Stillman 101 book that was sent to you, the electronic book that was sent to you, that's on page 6. So if you look at if you were to open that book up and went to page 6 of that document, you'd be able to see, okay, what exactly are all the details that I need to do in order to gain full admission to Stillman. And again, please remember, this is just for the group that's in the tracking business category or the pre-business category.
It looks like we had a question come up about, can I change classes? I've picked once I receive AP scores next month. So the answer to that is yes. So as you referenced, the university does accept AP scores. We are looking for you to achieve a 4 or 5, and you can earn credit that will transfer to Seton Hall for those exams. You can adjust your schedule, definitely. And so generally speaking, students are able to adjust their schedule through what we call our add drop period. And so if you receive those scores, you can work with your freshman mentor during the summer to adjust your schedule accordingly.
I see a question about, will our physical distancing requirements change how many people are in dorm rooms? At this time, our plan is to go with double occupancy, still to go with double occupancy. What we're doing is we are going to be instituting more rigorous cleaning requirements. So you're not going to have to clean your shared restroom facilities as much as you might have had to in the past. You're going to get special cleaning services. We're going to be marking rooms and making sure that we've got sanitizers in place, making sure that everybody is following the prescribed protocols. But right now we are going with double occupancy in the rooms. Okay, I see Mark answered the question about the real estate club.
Yeah, and I think I see a question about a double concentrating across schools compared to having another double concentrating in Stillman. And what we usually say, this is probably the kind of thing that you might want to sit down with one of us and have a conversation about in terms of, do you want to double across 2 schools, for example, arts and sciences and Stillman. In general, we don't necessarily encourage it. And we have an alternative for you, though, and that is to say that, and here's our reason, by the way, because, for example, arts and sciences as a college and Stillman as a school, we're both going to have 2 separate cores. So you're going to have to complete all of their core, all of our core, all of your majors in Stillman or concentrations in Stillman, and then your concentration over there. By the time you're done, you're probably going to add about another year to your study. So that's time and obviously money. What we usually encourage instead is for you to consider a undergraduate degree in one area and then a graduate degree in another area. Because the way to, if you concentrate across two schools or colleges, like I said, you're going to probably end up with around 150 or more credits. And then you're going to have two undergraduate degrees. The alternative is to pursue one of our 5-year programs. And we have, for example, the opportunity for students to complete the undergraduate degree and then complete their MBA degree within 1 more year. And that gives the ability then to, instead of having 2 undergraduate degrees, to have an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree. You'll take about the same time. It'll still take about 5 years. And you can do both and in that time period. And so instead of having 2 undergrad degrees in 5 years, you have an undergrad degree and a master's degree. So for the student thinking about majoring outside of Stillman, my advice would be consider minoring outside of Stillman. I think that would be probably a more feasible and more affordable and quicker option. And then if it's really that important to you to get a degree in another area, then you might want to consider a master's degree in that other area after you finished your undergrad. But like I said, also the other option is for students who really want to pursue 2 degrees. There is a way to do that, but you can pursue one of our 5-year programs that allows you to finish your undergrad and your master's degree within 5 years.
Steve, a number of questions have come up about changing your major or adding a major or adding a minor. Would you please just give students a little description about how they would do that? Sure.
So the easiest way to do it is when you are, and you'll get, I think, a certain level of comfort with this, the more familiar you get with our system, our banner system. Sorry, that's the chair of the management department calling me. So that's that ringing you here. But the easy way is on our website. When you sign in with your credentials, there is an option in Banner, which is the system you're going to become very familiar with and comfortable with as you use it to choose courses, as you use it to look at your transcript and a whole range of things. As soon as you sign in, you have the ability to change your major electronically. So you'll be able to go, you'll see it as one of the options. It's fairly front and center for you in Banner, and you can then just use the electronic change of major process. It's the same thing you would use, by the way, to add a second major or concentration. It's the same thing you would use to add a minor. So if you're simply switching concentrations, adding a second concentration, adding a minor, any of those categories, you would, when you sign in to PirateNet, which is the system that we use, and that'll give you access to this Banner system that I'm referring to. But it's really just you entering PirateNet. So when you enter PirateNet, which is really the same as entering Banner, then you'll go in and you'll see front and center an option to change your major or concentration electronically, and that's how you do it. So you can switch, you can add a second, you can add a minor, and you do it all as you sign into PirateNet.
I did see another question relating to just COVID precautions and safety, and that was, will students be required to wear a mask throughout the fall? We're following what the state tells us, and the executive order that came down, I think it was just yesterday, says that indoors, for right now, masks are required indoors. So that would be in public places, indoors, in classrooms. So when you're out on campus, no, not the same thing. Wouldn't be a requirement. We'd want people to be careful for sure. You'd use your judgment about how close you are to people, but we will continue to follow guidelines as they come down from the state. So we'll keep you informed on all of that. We're working on finalizing our plans and preparing a pirate pledge that we're all going to agree to adhere to protect one another. I actually think we're at the ending time of our session here. Colleagues, if you have any short questions you want to address, just maybe one more, and then what we'll probably have to do is send you on to your next session, but we will answer the ones that are remaining in the Q&A so that we can give you a specific response. We will do that in, the next few hours. But any colleagues, any questions that you think you can address quickly?
No, I don't see any others, Joyce. I've been responding to a number of them privately, and we will definitely make sure that we connect and send responses on the others that are still open.
Wonderful.
If I could just say one more thing, Joyce, not a question, answering a question, but come see us or come email us after this. You don't have to, just because freshman year is going to be mapped out for you, come see us at Stillman School whenever you want, and we'll be happy to go over a lot of this stuff.
And by the way, I'll end with this. We'll be sending you a schedule. All of our departments are going to be having information sessions that will relate to academics, career options, where you'll have the opportunity to meet faculty, students, and perhaps alumni. So keep your eyes open for that. This is a great place for some of these questions about, well, should I do a double major in finance and accounting, or should I do an undergrad in finance and an MBA in accounting? All of these types of questions are really great questions to ask at some of the information sessions that departments will have right at the beginning of the year. So let me go ahead and close by saying we are so proud to have you here at the Stillman School. We look forward to getting to know you even better. There are some names that I've certainly recognized over the course of our recruiting process, but we look forward to seeing you in person. One other question that I will answer quickly. You'll probably get information about this later, but the book that we're reading is Grit. So the book that the freshmen will be reading this year is Grit. I think the author is Duckworth, Angela Duckworth. Am I right about that? I'm just going from the top of my head. It's a book I was given as a gift and I hadn't read it yet, so now I'm going to read it. But folks, enjoy the rest of your Pirate Adventure virtual orientation, the rest of your summer. Stay in touch and go Pirates.